You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom!
That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. My man. Here we go again. I just
Sun's
saw you
out,
yesterday.
guns out.
Oh, you got to get the gun. That's right. I'm scared that I'm going to break my shirt. You know, that's the problem.
Wow.
Yeah, so I can't.
A little extra protein in the diet.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what's going on, man. And so I tell you what, I have like hardly spoken all day because I'm saving my throat is killing me, and so I figure if I just don't talk and just save it for the 1 hour of importance that I get to spend with Chris Stone. That's what it is.
You were just
That's
you say the sweetest things in the middle of the Wednesday.
You know, I'm drinking from my what is it? Street Studio Creative Meat Strategy Cup. I got to put this here.
Another memorable show that we had.
Yeah, it's a memorable show, so I could do this because oh, that's right. That was a memorable show.
That was.
But,
absolutely.
I want, you know, your tea or coffee tastes better when you're drinking it out of a cup that a friend gave you. I'm telling you, it's, you know, people always looking for the perfect gift or something like that. Just something that reminds you of them. You know, she's a nice lady, gave me a cup. You know, it tastes better. Your food tastes better when it's cooked with love. You know, oh my gosh, I made the world's best beef stew this weekend. Just for whatever reason, just made some beef stew, but like an old timey, like, you know, just carrots and potatoes and onions and meat and just put it in the Instant Pot. It's good. The greatest thing ever. And then you put, instead of Lipton onion soup mix, which is a traditional thing that you have to put in. Yeah, 2 packets, unbelievable. But I put the Lipton onion soup mix with mushrooms. I know.
You are off the rails.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you got to break the rules. And it just added to it. And here's the secret. Everything's better. Whatever Worcestershire sauce they tell you to put in, always put in double. Put in double the Worcestershire and like half the sugar. By the way, that's another thing with baking. Whenever they tell you put half the sugar, people are just crazy with the amount of sugar they put in.
Anything plus Worcestershire sauce equals better.
Yes,
that was risky though for you to do that. That's crazy to put the onion soup in there. You know what I do
with mushrooms?
What I do when it's risky is like when I go to a place that has an escalator, I'll go up the escalator. I'll take my hand off the rail.
No way.
Yeah,
you just do it like that. Yeah,
I'm living on the edge,
you're a
Dan.
risk taker. Yeah, I know.
Right.
That's it. You're an aggressive gambler. But you know what? That's the whole thing. You know, you're joking about it, like you know, like I'm taking the handle off. But I tell you, a lot of people will stick on the handle. You know how they do it in the world? Sticking with your 9-to-5 job. When people stick with their 9-to-5 job, they always have this idea that they want to take it to the next level and go into something their own because they know they have the skills. They know they have the ability to do it, yet unwilling to take their hands off the rail, unwilling to add mushrooms to their beef stew. That's what it is. And so what I'm trying to do here in 2023 is bring on people that have been risk takers, that are able to move from that safety and security of whatever they're doing and move on to their own business and watch them succeed while they do it. And it just so happens, Chris Stone, that I have once again completed the world's greatest segue into our guest.
Yes.
A man,
just when you thought the segues could not get any better, ladies and gentlemen, they just keep getting
Today's guest is one of those people who took the chance, moved out on his own, went through all the trials and tribulations, and is coming out on top, and managed to save his good-natured spirit along the way. And so with that, let me introduce my great friend, Mr. Steve Haywood.
Woo!
With his arms in the air. Look at that.
Go, Steve.
Let's go.
You see, that's the thing. A lot of people, Steve, that come on the show, I gotta like encourage them, and then they put their arms up. But you were there. I mean, you were like leading the pack.
I'm always ready.
Your shoulders are going to be sore tomorrow. Steve was like the whole time.
I do a lot of this.
Oh yeah,
There you
world's
go.
greatest fisherman. He's
I
always.
just imagine, Dan, that everyone that's watching this show is just doing this the entire time.
I know.
Like for the entire show.
If I walk into Steve's office, because I'll do that. I walked into his office, instead of saying hello, he does this. I mean, that's how people. That's how people greet me
It's
these
a new
days.
greeting. It's a Deej greeting.
It's a good. But let me tell you. So if you're ever, I'll tell you how I met Steve Haywood, and then a funny story about his wife. But he and his wife. So I was there, and I cold called him. So people that said that cold calling doesn't work, I cold called him, and for whatever reason, he agreed to come see me or what have you. And then we did business together as far as helping him increase his profit and get more efficient. And Renee came to me, his wife, and she says, "What did you do? Talk about fishing?" He goes, "He'll buy anything if you talk about fishing."
I don't know how you got through to me on the phone to start with. I never take calls like that.
Yeah. So how did I do that? So why don't you do this, Steve, instead of me doing the talking? Because I have a lot of questions for you, and people actually do want to know. How did you get? Well, first, say what your business is, and you'll watch the magic, because I have the world's best producer on this show. And so you've just mentioned a few things about your company, and just watch the magic happen. So,
Right.
Steve, tell me about your company.
Okay, it's Dependable Tube Bending. So we bend tubing, metal tubing. And it's really strange. There's all different types of applications. If you look around, you always find bent tubes. I mean, they're virtually on every machine, every car, truck, bus, handrails, restrooms. I mean, it's just, there's bent tubes everywhere. And that's what we do. We do from small sizes like 1/4 inch up to bigger stuff like 4 and 5 inches.
Well, that's awesome. But I want people to listen to that. So he literally bends tubes. So you have a straight tube, and he bends the tube and does millions of dollars of business bending tubes. And so how the heck did you get into that in the first place?
Well, I had a guy that I'd met years ago that he had a tube bending company. His father started. He worked for Lockheed. His father did. And the guy met me, and he said, "I want you to come work for me. I don't know what I want you to do, but I want you to come to work for me." So I did, and I just worked myself into a position, and kept that company going for about 5 or 6 years. And then he went out of business, and I learned what not to do from him, and then I started my own.
Well, what do you mean? Did you?
He ran it. He just ran it into the ground. Kept taking all the money out of the company, and we had no money to operate on. And I just learned a lot from him. What not to do.
Well, okay, but so I always tell people that the definition of a business is having a customer. So how did you get your first customer?
Well, I had everybody that I'd worked with that company. They were calling me saying, "I got to have bent tubes. I got to have bent tubes. Where can I get them?" I thought, well, okay, I think I can do that.
So that's it. Well, so here's the thing. A lot of people that would get that kind of information, how do I, their customers are basically banging down their door, but it's just too risky for them to do it. So where did you get the cojones to just go ahead and give it a shot? Had you been in business before?
I had, and it was unsuccessful. So I definitely had a big mountain to climb and to overcome there. So I just took the leap and did it. I mean, I knew I had enough business to get going. So all I had to do was maintain that and keep growing. So that's what we did. I saved my money and bought more equipment and hired more people, and just 16 years later, we're still going.
Well, I mean, which is dynamite. So it all goes there, but it started with those customers. So at the beginning, were you doing everything? Like, or were you selling and then working, or did you always have workers? What was?
No, I had 2 guys working with me when I first started, and they didn't let me go in the shop. They kept me up front in the office. They said, "You don't need to be back here. You don't know what you're doing. Get out of here."
So you would just go sell the business, and they would do it.
They would They would get the work out the door.
Are those guys still with you?
One of them is, yes, it's Oscar Lorenzo, and he is the best.
Oscar's still with you. So he started
from the very start.
You had your first customer.
Right. We'd worked together for 5 years before that too. So we had
unbelievable.
We had a good relationship.
So that first client you got, was it like were these like long-term deals, or they're like project work?
Everything we do is project work, but a lot of them are ongoing. So they build the same product. So they're using the same tubes over and over and over again. And that's the type of customers we like to have, is the repeat customers that are building their own product.
Yeah, that was my question, is like, you've got, there's a ton of custom processing that you would do. And so if you're a company that, or something that just needs something as a one-time thing, you guys have to do a lot of stuff in order to create something custom, and then not knowing that they'd be back, right? It's like, maybe it's just like and so you almost, do you treat those, do you price those differently than knowing like, okay, these people are going to be back for more tubes later, because it's, because they're reselling it or whatever, they're creating something like that. Is that how you work with your pricing model, depending on the customer?
It is somewhat, Chris, but I try to treat everybody fair and the same. So
okay.
I don't like jacking the little guy, just trying to get started or doing, something at home. We might need just like one tube bent, or maybe he had a damaged tube on his boat top frame or something. It does take us a lot longer to make that one part, but we kind of have a shop minimum, but I don't jack them, it's something I've always done. I get in trouble for it from some of my other people, but they're like, "Steve, we can't do that for that price." I say, "Yeah, we can. Just do it." But I try to put it in with something else we're doing that's very similar to it to keep the cost down.
Well, so do you deal with big clients? Like, how do you deal? Let's say you have a big client that's ordering a lot, and you can't, necessarily produce it right then.
Well, we have lead times, for everybody, and we teach our customers that as they're with us, what kind of a lead time we need to build their product. And a lot of customers, we have a stock now, an inventory that we keep for them.
Of bending tubes. Is that not the craziest thing?
Bent tubes.
So give me an example of like a big job or something.
Well, we have one that's it's called Autocar Trucks, and they build truck chassis. And these truck chassis are used, they sell the chassis with the cab on it, and then other companies buy their chassis and they put the back part of the truck on, which a lot of them are used for garbage trucks. So we build all the hydraulic tubes for those that operate, like, say you got the garbage truck and it compresses that garbage in there. So that's all hydraulics. So that all flows through tubing.
And those aren't flexible tubes. Oh, so it's like the stuff like that's crazy.
Yeah, they're all hard. They're hard.
So how did you get that? A lot of people that watch this are salespeople. How'd you get that customer?
It's just we just look up on the internet, or I'm always looking as I'm driving down the road for trucks delivering different products, and I'll shoot a picture of it, whatever it is, and come back and do research on the company and then contact them.
And what do you say to the company?
I was like, I know you're using bent tubes, who are you using? And, can we help you out? Do you have anything we can help you with?
There you go. I wonder if you could help me.
Yeah, right. That's the whole thing. So you just reach out to them, and what's the worst thing that could happen?
They say no. That's it. I mean, that's
right.
the worst. What are they going to do? They're not going to come beat you up.
That's
So I have no problem contacting people whatsoever. I mean, as a matter of fact, when people contact us, via the website and send an email over requesting a quote, it's really nice because they're normally happy to find us. They've been looking for somebody to do the job for them and they can't find somebody to do it. So when they find us and we can do it, I mean, they're extremely happy.
So you're do you work for big companies or is this like, the little local, do you work for the end user or do you work through like brokers?
Well, we don't really work through a broker, but we work through, the companies that are using the product. So, and it's usually me, making the sales calls, or we have, I've had salesmen, they make calls also, but, it's just, it's usually us contacting the customer and they're either trying to get the end user or the, the people that are actually using the tubes on their product.
Okay. Well, okay. So you're in a niche business. And so, a lot of people, do you have competition?
We do, but it's not a lot. In the Southeast, there's not a lot of people that do what we do at all. So
really,
very, very few companies do it.
So so you're limited in your growth just by the amount of times that you're out there calling. Brett over here on the right said something that I think is huge. He goes, it's always a no if you don't ask.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's right. My son right there. So I've got him watching a lot of your podcasts, Dan.
Oh, really?
Your sales
we got to get him on.
He didn't get that wisdom from this podcast. There's no way, Steve. He's watching and listening to other podcasts. What about this right here?
What
you
does
guys
Brett
worked
do?
on a rocket?
Yeah, we work on rockets. We do tubes for rockets. They all have tubes on them. So we do aircraft tubing.
Because of course rockets have tubes on them, Dan.
Oh, yeah,
everything
needs a bent tube if you got a rocket.
I never see things anymore, that don't have bent tubes. I'll be just walking down the street looking at bent tubes.
You really do. You're always noticing them now.
Yeah, that's what happens, and you don't realize it until you need it,
right?
But
it's amazing.
Like what does Brent do?
Brett, he's an insurance consultant. He analyzes mid-range companies' insurances and suggests different plans, and he's selling also.
So he gives solutions to companies to save them money on their insurance.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Okay. There you go. You see, Brett, we got to work on your dad's elevator pitch. But he's got the best elevator pitch. I bend tubes.
What are you talking about?
What a great thing. All right. So tell me about a time that you got screwed by a customer.
Oh, I got screwed by a guy.
Because this is what it doesn't happen that often, does it?
No, it's very rare.
No, but this is the type of thing that prevents people from making that leap and going ahead and doing it. So tell me a time that something less than good happened.
Well, I got screwed twice last year. One was when COVID hit, I had a customer that was making disinfectant machines. And when COVID hit, they were going crazy. We were building tubes faster than we could. I mean, it took about 3,000 man hours a week to make what they needed per week.
What were they buying?
It was a handle for their machine where they could pull the machine around.
Okay.
So and then they ended up really not selling that machine that much. I think the price point was a little high, and they didn't sell that many of them. And we'd built up a pretty good inventory for them, and I'd ordered a bunch of bulk tubing, and I bought a new $500,000 machine for them. And as soon as I got the machine up and going, they're like, "Stop! We're going to cancel the rest of the POs we have with you. Don't make any more." And I had about $2 million of purchase orders, and we took it pretty good. I managed to recoup most of the money that I lost there, though.
How?
I bought the tubing at a good price, and I was able to right after that the tubing price went up, so I almost doubled my money on the tubing that we purchased.
Isn't that great? So that's perfect. And salespeople need to do the same thing. Things always happen, and you have an opportunity to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And so you figure out what you do. Are you fidgeting around with something metal over there and making noise on your desk?
No.
Not now.
I'm fidgeting
he fidgets with metal for a living, Dan. I mean, come on.
That's your new thing. So what do? I'm a metal fidgeter.
Metal fidgeter. Yes.
We're always doing something.
So this has got me interested.
Can you bend these tubes? I got these tubes. You know these little.
They can bend anything, Dan.
Oh yeah, we can bend that. Whatever
they can bend anything. I've been on their website. It doesn't matter, big or small. They can bend it all.
Now we have a laser. We can laser cut stuff too now.
So I'm curious, this company that screwed you. So do you, when you do a contract with a new client like this, do you build some sort of thing, some sort of contingency in there based on that, so that you can, everybody kind of gets out, at least with some of their shirt?
We haven't been doing that, but now I've had a lawyer draw up a contract that we'll be using on anything, a larger customer like that.
But you see, he did that after he got messed up. So, and by the way, I think that's the best way to do it. A lot of people, because they do so many legalities and get started, that it frightens them and they never get started.
That's true.
You never start. So it's, muddle your way through a difficult situation. It'll make you stronger in the future. It's never it never goes straight like this. It's always this, but in these things, you learn a lot over here.
Yeah, you start a business before you actually start an official LLC, right? You're doing something, you have customers, you're providing something, and then you're like, well, somehow I have to figure out how this tax thing is going to work, and how I get, become an LLC, and how I protect myself here. But you don't do all that stuff and then get started, because, like you said, Dan, you never do. You never get. You're never bending tubes.
Yeah, but and what happens? You start running the business. So you started out pretty much, Steve, as the salesperson, right?
Oh yes, I started out pretty much as everything person, except for making the product.
Right. So people are getting there. They're doing business with Steve Haywood, not necessarily the business, but as you start growing, you wind up doing everything but the sales. Because you get caught up on everything else.
Correct. Yes. And that happens to a lot of business owners too. That you end up not doing what you do the best.
Exactly.
You get muddled up in every day-to-day operations.
Yes, and so that's the option. So how did you make that switch? Did you hire a salesperson, or?
I like doing sales myself.
Yeah,
but
you see, you got to.
I've had salespeople in, but I like doing that. That's my favorite thing to do, and I can't do it very often.
Well, tell that story about how you got that one big one, that new one that you have.
The
Exometry.
Yes, I got a new customer, Exometry, and I got them I just woke up one Sunday morning and went into the kitchen and den and turned the TV on, and that show How It's Made was on, which I love that show. It's great. Everybody loves that show. Yeah. I noticed there was a commercial on. I kept seeing this commercial over and over again. And the commercial was from this company, Exometry. And they have where you submit your drawing, and they'll give you a price on a machined part or a sheet metal part. And I started thinking, I thought, well, a lot of our customers are machine shops. So I bet they're getting inquiries on bent tubes. So I contacted them. That was Sunday. I contacted them Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon, I had a phone call and emails, and I was set up to go by Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning. Because they were getting a lot of inquiries, and they didn't have anybody to do it for them.
Wow.
And so that's it. When you're in business, or if you're just selling for somebody and you're out there, your day you're a 24-hour day. You could look for opportunities all day, every day, and they're there. You got to keep your antennas up.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just driving down the road, I'm always looking at what's on the back of a tractor trailer truck, flatbed. There might be a machine back there that I see tubes on. So I'll grab that. I'll get my phone out, take a picture of it, come back and call them.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, girls like that when you walk up to them and say, "Hey, nice tubes." You know, you just gotta.
Wow.
You never know what's coming out of that mouth.
You really don't. You really don't. And why I decided to go live with him, Steve, I have no idea.
All right. So, Steve, what's in the future for Steve Haywood?
Well, I mean, I'm getting right at my retirement age, so I'm looking to kind of move a little bit out of this and really kind of, you know, if opportunity comes up to sell the company and kind of do what I do best, which is sell. So I'd like to stay on and sell for a while.
You see, so that's the whole thing. When you build a business, it's important to think of it as a business and not just a job. When you have something that you can't sell afterwards or sell just for the asset value, you basically own your job.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so you got to get something that has a system, that has a process. Therefore, it creates that kind of value. So you do have a lot of equipment though, and you have to buy that. You have to, you know, buy all the equipment. Where this is something sneaky that a lot of people don't know about. Most people, when you think you have to buy new equipment, you just buy new equipment. Where do you get most of your stuff?
Well, finally, last year I did make an investment in some new equipment.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of equipment from different auction sites. There's always people selling things, going out of business, or getting purchased by someone else, and then they don't need the equipment. So, you know, I get these auction sites that email me every day, and if it's something that piques my interest, I'll look on there and I'll make a bid on some things, because you can bid online. So I just take it and I take what my bid would be, what I would be willing to pay, and the maximum that I'd pay, and I bid that. And then, you know, if I get it, fine. If I don't, I don't. So,
yeah, it's just incredible with these machines. They're like $100,000 machines that you get for, you know, $400.
Yeah, I got a welder the other day. I paid $500 for it, and I looked online. The cheapest I could find online was $3,000.
Yeah,
3,000 brand new.
No, that wasn't new. That was used.
Wow.
No, it was about 7,000 new.
Interesting. Are these specialized sort of auction sites, or are they just like are they general auctions that include not just machinery like you're talking, but other items?
Well,
I'm asking for a friend, Steve.
Well, actually, there's one called Bid Spotter, and you put your criteria in on that one, and they only send you emails for those particular auctions that have what you're looking for.
Nice.
So,
yeah, and it's all different stuff. You know, people outside the industry think, you know, everything's, you know, everything buys everything new. You're in that kind of Home Depot, Lowe's type of frame of mind. But man, there's a whole world out there. And that's why sales is so interesting. You're meeting all these companies in all these places, and then you find out how they do business, and you get, you know, there's an 11th commandment that my dad taught me, Steve Haywood.
Oh,
you know what it is?
Well, no.
Never pay retail. I mean, you just can't do it.
Nope.
Yeah, and you don't have to when you have the inside scoop of this.
I taught my son that one too, and he negotiates for everything he buys now. Everything. Yeah, it was pretty funny. He told me, he goes, "Dad," he goes, I don't pay full price for anything anymore."
Yeah. My when Matthew there was he used to watch these shows. You know those shows that Matthew's my son. But he used to watch those shows. You know those got those pawn shop shows.
Oh yeah,
like those crazy things, like everything's negotiated. So he was watching those, and then he wanted to get a riding lawnmower. And so there was somebody in the neighborhood or what have you had a riding lawnmower. And so he went over there to do it, to practice his stuff. And so he's walking around the thing, and he's touching it with his finger, and he's feeling the dents on it and all that stuff. And he goes, well, you know, he's like 12, let's say. He goes, does it, does it start? And the guy he was selling for $350. And the guy starts it, and it doesn't start. And so Matthew says, the guy says, listen, I can't sell it to you. You're a young man. I can't sell it to you for, it's not starting. I'm not going to do it. And so Matthew looks at him very quickly and says, $100. The guy's like, it doesn't start. He says, $100. And the guy said, all right. So he sold it. And he goes, I tell you what, I'll throw in, I got a new battery, so I'll throw that in too. Matthew says, okay. So anyway, he got it. He basically needed, just clean the I don't know, something, whatever he fixed. And it worked.
Replace the gas, probably.
He sold it for $500.
There you go.
Just learning how to do that stuff. Never, ever pay retail.
Nope.
And so I think it's also those that's the biggest thing I learned from you, Steve Haywood, auction sites.
I bought all kinds of stuff from there. I bought shelving units and, oh gosh. I mean, just drills, saws.
And it's all industrial stuff.
Yeah, everything.
It's industrial quality.
Right,
so
right.
It's not like these shelves.
It's been used in a machine shop or some sort of shop. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah, good heavy duty steel shelving.
All right. So what advice are you going to give somebody who wants to start, they start their business and they want to start it with a customer? How do you get your first customer?
Well, first
you got
to find some sort of a need. In my business, I already had a couple of existing customers that we were able to start with. So from day one, we started producing product. And actually, I opened my doors in 30 days from the time that the other guy went out of business. So I got my loans together and bought my equipment, had it shipped here from California, and found a warehouse to rent. And I was up and going in 30 days, which I think is pretty amazing. So we just hit the floor running and kept on going from there. And then I was very careful to save money and pay cash for everything as I was buying equipment. For years, I never took a loan out. Everything was always paid in cash. And
really? What about inventory?
Yeah, we paid for that too, as soon as we got it. So, I had 150,000 to start with. That's what I started with. And
hey, you lost weight.
I have.
Yeah.
A little bit. And so I learned how to operate very lean, and that's definitely helped us quite a bit.
All right. So if you were to grow your business right now, hey, let's say you wanted to double it, what would be the first thing you do? I ask this when people are looking to sell their businesses. What would you do right now to double the amount of sales or profit?
I tell you what, right now, profit is a hard thing to maintain with the rising cost of everything, insurance, salaries, overhead. It's hard to maintain the amount of gross profit that we always did in the past.
Oh,
so, yeah, it's really become a difficult part of running a business. We've had to go up on things, but I hate having to, but material cost has gone up so much and everything else. But I noticed that it's brought the profit down. So I've had to reevaluate our labor costs and go up on our bids.
Are people paying more?
Yeah, they know. They know everything's gone up. So, the bigger companies, they want to gripe about it, but they know as well as I do. So, but it's just that everybody's going up on everything for them. So, I realize they're getting hit, every direction there is for every product they buy. But it's
so
something.
All right. So here's the main thing, because, you just hit upon it. There are a lot of people, I myself am not one of them, but there are a lot of people that are worried about the impending new economy that's going to be happening in this country for whatever reason. And, are you preparing for that, or how do you deal with that, or how you tell somebody to deal with that?
I'm somewhat prepared. What we've done is, I'm trying to diversify our business and get in a lot of different segments of the market. I do from aircraft tubes to handles for different products to compressed natural gas conversions for trucks and buses. And I kind of see something new coming on in the transportation field, which is a hydrogen powered vehicles, and the actually the battery powered vehicles. So I thought, when they started switching to the battery powered vehicles, we were going to lose our opportunity for bending tubes because, the everything else had fluid that was flowing through. And here you got a bunch of big batteries. But I realized that those batteries have got to stay cool. So they have cooling lines that cool those batteries down. So we didn't lose that segment of the market. But like I said, now they're doing moving to hydrogen. So I'm looking on these hydrogen meetings that they have, and I'm researched the companies that are going to them, and I've contacted a lot of those to see if there's new opportunities for us with tubes with them.
Yeah, there's always manufacturing going on, and people need bent tubes.
Always. I mean, it's amazing. They always need them.
When I was a kid, and I had it was just one of those $300 cars. Have you ever had a $300 car, Chris?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, everybody's had a 300. Yeah, so it was one of those $300 cars, and
actually, I didn't pay 300. I paid 275. Haggled them down.
Oh, did you?
I'll pay retail.
Yeah, that's right. And they threw in gas.
That's right.
They got the
didn't start, but I got it.
I was going down this hill, and actually, I really hit the things. I got no brakes, and so I'm going, to the right and to the left. I'm like skiing back and forth to try to slow it down. Finally, I get to the bottom, and my friend goes to me, "I think you lost your fluid." I said, "Wouldn't you?" Stick with me, kids. They're coming fast. All right. Jeez, that was the longest setup for a bad joke. But you
some of these are just for Dan. So
both of you fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, that's it. All you got to do is mention fluid. All right. So the idea is, so you're just looking for new opportunities, and you're reaching out to get them, just like I reached out to you.
Right. Always be selling.
That's it. Yeah. Well, just kind of introducing and presenting your offer. Right. It's a very simple offer. And I think for the salespeople out there that watch us, you need to simplify your offer. What do you sell? Of course, it's easy for him. We bend tubes. If you have a need for bend tubes, we're your guy. But you can make it simple for anything that you do. We produce, we get you more exposure by producing your videos. That's it. And so you just could give that offer out 10 times, 20 times a day. If you do that, it's impossible to fail. So when new people come in, there's always opportunities.
Right.
Send it to 100 people. So cold emails, cold calls, social media advertising, all lead into your list. Once you contact these people, if they say no, what do you do with them? Do you have a list?
Oh, yeah. Follow them away and then contact them again.
Yeah. And existing customers are your best source for new business.
Oh yeah. We get a lot of referrals.
Baby.
Yeah, well, and even they finish a project and they're going to start a new project, whatever, but maybe a new procurement manager came in, they don't have the relationship with you anymore. You got to stay in front of those people.
Right. And my philosophy has always been to I always want to help the customer. Well, what can I do for you? What can I do to help you? And matter of fact, I had a customer this morning call, and he goes, "Man, I need your help. I got one tube I need right now, today." I said, "Well, send me a drawing. Let me look at it." So I did, and we can make it for him. So we're bending it for him today. And that makes such a huge difference to your customers when you can get them out of a bind. They're in a bind. I mean, they need help.
That's awesome.
So.
And that customer called you, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like you've created that situation where they felt comfortable saying, "I need a favor and I need you to do it," and you guys executed. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I tell you, the other thing I really love about Steve, what you said, just kind of going back to when you were watching the commercial on Sunday, and then you contact the company on Monday, and this became a big client for you. I think being curious is a huge component of being a really good salesperson. Is you're curious about, you saw something and you were like, I wonder if that could provide a solution for my customer. And that curiosity will have you look in all kinds of places for opportunities. And I think that's something that I think you can attain it. I think you can be trained to do that. I mean, certainly if you're more passionate about something, you're more curious, for sure. It's just sort of that emotion drives that. But man, curiosity is so key to being a good salesperson.
That's very true, but that's such a hard thing to teach.
Hmm.
It really is. I mean, I've tried teaching that to many different people, and it's difficult. You basically, well, what I know, so you pretty much have to have it in you. And there's a lot of people that don't have it in them. It's just, different people are on different wavelengths, but I mean, that curiosity does. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it's the passion of the entrepreneur. I mean, that you're always thinking about it, and you're always doing. You're not just. It's not a job for you.
No, not at all.
It's just there. It's like fishing. How do you know the right lure to pick, Steve Haywood?
Yeah, it's whatever I feel good about.
How many fishing rods do you have?
I don't know. Probably
Ballpark.
40, maybe 50.
Wow.
Maybe. You got a different rod for all kinds of different things. So different lures, you have a different rod for that, and different types of fish, you have different rods for that.
When was the last time you went fishing?
Sunday.
Oh, did you catch anything?
Oh yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, we caught a couple of bass. One really good spotted bass.
I usually catch a sunburn. Have you ever bent any tubes related to fishing? I suppose boats related stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I've made steps to get up into the boats for a couple of friends that are getting older like me. When you got a bigger boat, it's hard to get up in it when you're launching it by yourself. So you got to climb up in there or climb out of it. So I made the steps for them. We've made different rod holders for different people, and I'm going to design some things I bought another boat, not a new boat, but new to me recently, and I'm going to make some sort of a rod holder system for it. So I don't want to drill holes into the boat, so I got to figure out a different way of mounting these rod holders. So
there you go. Did you ever have one of those singing basses on your wall? You know what I'm talking about?
Everybody has those. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have some bass flip flops too.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nice.
Hey, bass flip flop. So the best thing about going to Steve's place is that he always has fish for you. I had scallops those scallops were amazing.
I told you they're good, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've restocked the freezer for you too. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but you got out too fast the other day.
Yes. What's the one grouper you have sometimes?
Yeah, red snapper, sea trout, redfish.
Have you ever had sea trout, Chris Stone?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
lake trout's what I've had mostly. Obviously,
I know, but sea trout's.
Oh, it's totally different. This is a saltwater fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, but Steve will go out all day.
Oh yeah, that's why my wife hates to go with me. Hates it. She goes, "I'm only going if you only stay a couple hours."
Oh, look at this! Great stuff. Jeff Clays. Jeff Clays is a cool guy. He moved to a new position, and he's just he wants to do it right. He's just a decent fellow. Had to sign over a few minutes to get a sale signed. That's what it's talking about. You see that? That's the only reason to leave from Steve Haywood, Billy Bass. So what you people don't know, Steve is this kind of unassuming guy right here, talking about bend tubes. But secretly, he's brilliant. He's the most steady Eddie guy you will ever meet. He started this business, from what he said, practically zero, and he's going to end it with multi-millions of dollars and living a life so he can go fishing in Florida with another house that he has there. And it's not because of anything it's because he started with the most important thing in mind, which is the customer. And let's start with a customer, and it doesn't matter what the heck the product is. It's just start with the customer and give solutions, and it's all done. Jeff Clays is not really that cool. Well, Chris Stone might agree with you, but not me. I think you are the coolest. So, Steve Haywood.
Yes.
To aspiring business people, as a last thing, aspiring salespeople that are just getting into the world, or actually people who want to get into your industry, what would you suggest that they do to get started if you had to give a piece of advice?
Oh my gosh, you just got to keep your head down or keep it up and keep looking for that opportunity all the time. You just work hard and save that money.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this: how do you negotiate deals? I mean, if some people make these, or they can give big orders that you're going to have to invest a lot of money in, and how do you know if they're going to be profitable or not? Because there's got to be waste and screw ups and all that stuff.
Oh, there is, but I've analyzed it over the years. I've actually brought in a consulting company a few years ago that helped me out. We went and did a time study on all of the equipment in the back to make sure I was, figuring it out the right way. And I've had to adjust that, my quote sheet many times, as labor costs go up and then every material costs go up.
Oh, so you just load everything into a spreadsheet and it gives you out the price.
Right.
With how many bends have to be made.
Yeah,
and and end caps. What's the other thing I learned?
It cost me about $100,000 to get down to just getting that done.
Jeez,
isn't
that crazy?
You got to have a way of doing it. It's very difficult to quote these things. Like right there, those tubes were cut and deburred, so it's
deburred,
getting the burrs off the cuts, and then you got all the different end fittings that go on the ends, and there's so
I hate
much
when my cuts have burrs on them.
I know. By the way, Steve Haywood, remember I told you I changed my brakes the other day?
Yeah.
So now we're putting a motor into this Isuzu Trooper. I told you about that. I got it all set up in my garage. He mocked me, Chris Stone. He says, you didn't do that. Your son did it for you. And then, as luck would have it, my garage door opener broke. And so I had to fix that. And I fixed that too with these hands.
You called Matthew to come fix it for you.
Yes, but he wouldn't do it. So I got up there myself and fixed it, and turned out to be something slightly, the next level up from plugging it in. But I figured it out anyhow. It was very.
Hey, let's see those hands. Are there any grease under those fingernails?
Oh, damn. I know. Nope. The most embarrassing thing. There was this girl, Sherry Ionacia, and everybody would want to go out with Sherry Ionacia.
Everybody loved Sherry Ionacia.
Yeah, well, she was a pretty girl. She was Italian and whatever. And so her dad, DeVito, whatever his name was, anyway. So if a boy came over, he, every dad would grab your hand and look for calluses. Like that was the thing. And so at that time I had calluses, but then he'd go the next day, he'd punch you in the arm. Or no, he'd have you punch him in the arm. That was the thing. And if it wasn't, strong enough, the idea he wouldn't let you take it out, but it was very intimidating.
Did he check your handshake too?
Yeah, but he was more concerned with calluses. He would grab your hand, turn it over, and see any calluses. If you had no calluses,
well, if you wanted to take out Sherry, you would just you got to develop some calluses, even if you weren't really working, just
I know it's terrible. You got to
hands.
scuff up your hands. You got to feel like a man every once in a while and get dirty. That's why you got to go there and go and check it out. So, all right. So if you guys need any bent tubes, Chris Stone, if you ever have a need for a bent tube, let's say for instance, hey, why don't I just make a chair or something? And you want to make a metal chair and bend tubes, you're going from there. So are you going to get a new customer today, Steve Haywood?
Oh, yes. Well, at least I made one customer happy today.
That's right.
I'm getting that tube out for him. So, and I had a guy off the street came in yesterday, needed some stuff for his closet. So I found him a couple of scrap tubes in the back we could use. So I got to do a little bit to them for him today.
What was the biggest order you ever had?
It was
the one that screwed you?
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had that water filtration guy that screwed me too. That really made me mad because that was a great product, or would have been a great product.
Well, tell me about that. What is that?
He had a water filtration system that he was going to sell down in the Caribbean, and it was great because the Caribbean, they don't have fresh water sources there. So his water filtration system would take the gray water from the cistern of the houses and make it drinkable. And I don't know what happened to the guy, but we made samples for him. We sent him over to the Caribbean for him, and bam, he never would pay me for anything.
That's
but, he had NASA out here to the shop. He had all kinds of people that were interested in buying the system. And I don't think he's doing anything now.
And then he sued you.
And he sued me.
Yeah.
Yeah. and he screwed me out of 25 grand. So
you see that? That's the life of a businessman. But you can make that back with one extra sale. You're only one sale away.
That's right.
From the biggest one in your life. You know?
I had a good friend of mine gave me the best piece of advice, or some of the best advice I've ever had. I had one guy when I first started, he screwed me out of like $2,500, and I needed it so bad. And the guy was in Connecticut, and he just wouldn't pay his bill. And I was talking to him. We used to talk about business all the time. And I was talking to him and said, man, I got to get that money. I got to get that money. I got to figure out how I can get that money. He goes, Steve, stop. Don't worry about that money. It's gone. Take all your effort and all this madness that you've got in you and turn that into getting a new sale. He says, you'll make that money back tenfold if you just use that energy that you're worrying about getting that money back and focus on selling somebody. And I thought that was a great piece of advice.
Now that's why we came here today, to get that advice. That's exactly
all this time
right.
for that nugget, Steve.
Yeah,
you waited
we're waiting for that.
Wow, that was worth the wait.
Well, I wanted to get
Forget
it in
about
the end of
that
the show.
stuff lost. I love that. That's awesome.
That's good.
Steve Haywood, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for being brave enough to deal with Chris Stone. You know who he is.
Yeah, it was so tough.
Yeah, that's Chris Stone once again, world's best producer. He's actually doing 10 things right now. He's like, there's only one man alive that can multitask, and that is Chris Stone. You're awesome. I appreciate you. And all you guys out there watching, just remember, you're only one sale away. You're one offer away to make this your best year ever, no matter what the economy. You're the best. I'm the Deej. Let's go get them today.